Welcome back, friends, to the shop. We have here the much anticipated, much requested, and promised tabletop review of the new German-made Oshkenkampfen small forest axe. Man, I'm excited to share this with you. I have had it sitting here, played with it a little bit, but I wanted to kind of explore it together and talk about it and go over why I think this is probably one of, if not the best value of small axes that I've ever come across. And before we start, at the time of this video, I purchased this axe 2 weeks ago on Amazon, and it was for $42. $42 with free shipping, and I was not expecting very much at that price, but this comes from an awesome brand. This is not a no-name brand. This is a brand that's been around since what? Well, it says right there, 1781. Some of you, my more astute subscribers, will probably recognize this actually is the most expensive axe on Amazon at over $400, I think. This is the beautiful Oshkenkampfen, I probably won't say that twice, racing axe, the most expensive axe I've ever bought. Oh, there's a beast right there. That thing kind of scares me a little bit, to be honest. But it's from the same brand. And at $40, I couldn't believe it. So let's go over it, should we start we'll just start at the sheath. We'll just go over everything and see what we got. And then in the next part of this, I'll do a video showing you, so you got a brand new axe, what do you do to get it ready to put it in its tip-top shape? And it seems like the cheaper the axe, the more expensive, the more time it takes to get it up to speed. Like when we buy a Grand Force Brooks, right? It's ready to go. It's ready to race right out of the box. And like a KTM there. No need for sharpening, no need for upgrading the sheath, no need for anything, no need for stripping varnish and paint and stickers. That's what we have here. All right, let's take a look at the sheath. The sheath is nothing to write home about, but for a $40 sheath, it's better than I would have thought. It's made of some sort of a vinyl with a Velcro enclosure, but it is riveted and it is reasonably thick, and I have no doubt that this would probably last a long, long time, as long as the Velcro lasts. So, you know, it's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. You know, if you're going to have this for a truck axe, or you're going to throw it in your fishing boat, it's pretty nice if you put a super keen edge on it to have something to protect that. And we don't all have time or the ability to go out and make sheaths for everything that we own. So it is what it is, right? It is what it is, and it is what I'll call serviceable. Now we have just a beautiful design here. This is that, I'm kind of tempted to refer to these as the American axe patterns, but you know, this is a company that's been around, well, about as long as America's been around, so it's a little arrogant for us to think that we have invented all the axes, but just the real good ones. But kind of a classic pattern. You see a lot of these on European, some of the Fiskars, older axes, or not the Fiskars, but the Bacos look very similar to this. But this is a nice little design in a great shape. Unfortunately, it's not a two-handed axe. And that's probably fine. I'm always, the benchmark, of course, is the Grand Force Brook Small Forest Axe, and it's one of those things that just got everything perfect. And you can actually use it as a two-handed axe. No, we're not really about that. You could buy 5 of these for the price of that. So, but a good design, very simple, lots of weight up on the pole, a good flat pole there. It has the hallmarks of a tool that's made. It's probably forged. I like the roll marks in here instead of the laser cut. You know, I know the laser cut's more precise, and we're starting to see that now, but I love those old press marks, or the old roll marks in there with the name and the bullhead, and you could just tell by looking at it, whoever put this together, and they care. You know, they care about the way that the handle's painted, the yellow identifier, you know, the nice big roll marks. It's beautiful, just beautiful. It's not without its faults, though. We have improper grain orientation, meaning that we have the growth rings running the wrong way. Now, is that a showstopper? Would I be bummed about that if that happened to me on my axe? You know, I've kind of evolved on this over the years, and I've had this discussion with friends that, you know, are into the hand tool thing and do a lot of axe handles, and we all pretty much agree now that on the smaller axes, I wouldn't make a big issue of it. it's just really not going to matter. Now, if we get into something like this, right, or a big axe or a splitting maul, yes, we're going to want proper grain orientation. We're going to want to see those growth rings, running the right ways to give it strength. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you see these growth rings here in the handle. These are imagine the tree from the end grain. They can have a tendency to delaminate. When pressed, if you really put a lot of strain on them. And the idea that the old timers had was that if we orient these 90 degrees to this way, right, we're going to have that a lot more strength. We're going to mitigate that problem of delamination and the peeling apart. But it's so rare. I mean, I can't say that I've ever seen it on a small axe, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. You're still getting a good value. But it looks to be a really nice, clear, either an ash or a hickory handle. I would say, being European, it's probably ash. Now, ash is of course, there's number 2 choice for axe handles, American hickory being the very best. And of course, you could expect here, I think when I researched this axe, this was American history. And the reason being is that hickory, if you've ever worked with it, man, it's a tough wood. It's really tough and it's really resilient, and it has a wonderful or beautiful spring to it and really good dampening properties. So it doesn't, when that axe or that tool handle hits whatever it's striking, the vibration doesn't transfer into the hand there as bad. But the best thing about that American hickory, apart from its toughness, is just it's got a beautiful snap to it. It's a lively, snappy wood that actually assists you in the swinging of a tool, rather than just a dead flat feel you'd feel like from a piece of oak or different things like that. So I don't really know, but one of the other, ash, of course, like we see in the European tools, is pretty common, and that's a good alternative as well. I would not be unhappy with the ash. See right here in the sticker, made in Germany. So we do have the real deal. We've got the yellow markings on there. What's my feeling on paint on tool handles? I paint my tool handles mostly just for identification. My granddad always painted the tips of his handles red. And the only reason was we hunted in big elk camps with lots of men, and everyone had tools and axes, and it was easy to confuse things. Not only that, you could sometimes find it in the snow a little bit better. So I've always painted mine black on the smaller ones, on the tool handles and shovels, just for an identifier and just out of tradition. But I don't care for it too much on hand tools like this, or small axes or hatchets, because it's just so slippery. It's slippery, and if you're going to be using this for an extended period of time, it'll give you bruises, or not bruises, but blisters on your hands, very uncomfortable. So in our next axe video, we'll be getting rid of all that, and we'll talk more about that. But it looks like we've got some sort of a clear varnish lacquer on there, which is also a bummer. You can see here on the racing axe, they put nothing on it, just raw hickory that's ready for linseed oil, and that's the way that it should be. What's funny, that these cheaper axes like this, all of this stuff costs money to do. It costs money, there's an extra step to put the paint on here. There's an extra step to put the paint on here. There's an extra step to put all these stickers and stuff on there. Where you take your premium brands, right? They don't do any of that. They've taken away all of that stuff, and yet they charge more. So for manufacturers, what I'd rather see is, rather than having all this paint on here and the stickers and such, I would rather have a sharp edge from the factory. Maybe take the guy's time that was spent on painting handles and heads and have him put nice edges on there. Same, because Grand Force Brooks, that's what they did. They're our premium brand, but they've stripped it down to its bare essentials. There is nothing like that. There's no stickers that come on them. There's no really logos. They're just clean and simple. So you could even get the price down more. That's all I'm saying. We have here, check this out. This could be hard to focus. Let me pull. I'm just going to turn this a little bit of an angle here. All right, do you see the eye? There we go. So we've got just a traditional wedge in there, but we've got what you see on all those German tools, those beautiful conical wedges. The first time I saw those was on a German tool, and it took me a long time. I finally found some, and this is what they look like right here. And I think that this is a far superior way to the old, kind of the American style of just the metal wedge. And the reason being is that Well, I was thinking when you put this wedge in here, when you put your wood wedge in and you cross hatch it, at a 45 or so with one of these, the idea is to just really press that wood out. And that's been man's, the great enigma is over the millennium, is how to secure a metal head to a wood handle, whether that be a tool of war or a garden implement. It's always been a problem keeping it tight, so, because that's dangerous. You don't think about it, but if you're working around other men, let's say you're chopping wood or you're working in a mine and there's guys all around, and you have a 4, 5, 6 pound tool head that comes off its handle and is flying loose in the air. There's been many a men killed that way. So it's an important thing to get right, especially for us too, if we have our families around or we're working with our kids. So the idea is to put that in there and to really wedge that in there so it's not going to come off. Well, these conicals are cool because they push equally from all sides. That's kind of what I like about them. So you're getting pressure, you're getting a ton of pressure when you press these things out versus this one here. I mean, there's just so much more surface area. It's just, there's no question about it. So I finally found them. I found them from this company. Fasteners offers them, high quality ones, and that's where I got them. So I'll put a link to that. And they come in all different sizes. So it's a good idea if you work with your wooden tools to have, a little box like this with just your wedges and different things. These are mostly from my granddad and, a few that I've bought over the years. But I'm going exclusively to these conicals. It'd be really interesting to see. I think I've got a loose splitting maul with a loose head on it. And I wonder if a guy put in punched 2 of these big guys in there, if that would tighten that up. Yeah, maybe we'll see. Have to see on that when I get that out of the shipping container. But I like that. Those conical deals are super good. Super good. And you can see that in there. What else we have here? Well, is it sharp? We'll find out, because it will be when I get done with it, but I doubt I can. No, it's not very sharp. It's serviceable, but it's close. It's got a good bevel on it. It's symmetrical. It's a good host for a sharp edge on it. We're going to be talking about sharp here. I'll be careful. I cut my arms doing this so many times. Yeah, that's the way. That's the way that an axe should be. Hair popping sharp. But I'm not worried about it because I think we've got a German-built axe here. I don't know what the steel makeup on it is, but I'm assuming it's going to be pretty good. They're just not going to produce junk. The Germans just don't work that way. All right, but that's a pretty beautiful unit. Very handsome aesthetically. It's nice. It's really thick and heavy up here in the handle, which is nice for durability. See how slight this is? There's nothing wrong with this, but the chance of this breaking from overstrike is way, way higher. And if you're a new axe user or you're just getting into it and you want to get your first, nice quality German-made tool or German-made axe, this might save you a little bit because you're going to have some overstrikes. An overstrike is when you come up a little short and you hit the handle. It's going to be way less likely to break because it's thick and robust. And the handle is, ouch, glad that wasn't too sharp. The handle is fitted, it's fitted pretty nicely. Looks like it was probably pressed in there. But good handle, short. Even it's got a nice palm swell. This is a much nicer handle than what you'd see on a equivalent axe from like Husqvarna. Husqvarna, they make nice heads, but their handles are kind of chintzy and cheap. They'll be the same thickness all the way through here with no difference right here, no swell on the back. And, they do that because it takes less wood, it's cheaper, just cheaper, takes less wood, where your nicer axes are going to be swollen at the bottom and contoured to fit your hand and made by people who use tools and know what a tool should feel like and how it should work with the body. But that's it. Boy, that's a nice little unit. Very nice little unit. And for $42, I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen anything come close to that. It's really, really nice. Really, really nice. All right, next video we'll go through From tip to tail, from everything. We'll put the razor sharp, hair popping edge on it. I'll show you how to do that. We'll strip off all this paint. We'll strip off all this varnish and this yellow. We'll get some boiled linseed oil on there, and we'll really make this thing shine. And I'll just kind of do a little tutorial and show you when you get a brand new axe like this, what you should do and how to make it your own and how to make it as good as it can be. All right. Well, thank you for watching, guys. I sure appreciate it. If you don't mind, take a moment and click the thumbs up. The rest of the day, I've got a whole box of honeydews. I've got broken toys from the Sweet Loaf she asked me to repair, and broken Christmas ornaments, and I'll probably just be in here by the wood stove doing that. Watch today, a Hamilton khaki. I like to mix it up. People always say, I'm not a big watch collector, but I like watches. I have a few of them, half a dozen or so, and I rotate them around. And every time I wear a different watch, people ask, what happened to the old one? What happened to the Garmin? It's like, no, nothing happened to them. It's kind of fun to pick and choose the watch that you're in the mood to wear, and this is a good one. Reminds me of my granddad. Every time I remember him teaching me how to wind a watch. I remember it like I was there. I must have been 4 or 5 years old when we sat out on his back porch, and he took his watch off and he showed me how not to overwind it, and I just remember that as clear as I was there. All right, thanks for watching. May God bless you and your families. Please keep us in your prayers, and we'll see you all on the next video.